This is awesome.
Oh, Clark, hey. Good to see you among the living, man. Check it out. It's the latest talent mix.
Thanks, Pete.
Good to see you all among the living. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talon Mix. It's a Smallville recap podcast hosted by me, Brian, and my pal Zach. Zach, hello. How are you, Zach?
I forgot that we had a podcast. Like, it's been so long since we recorded.
Been a little while since we've recorded. We did a good job building up a bank, and then we shot through that bank. And now we have to build up a new bank.
Yes.
It's also hard, especially like when we have other projects we're very interested in, and it's like, but like, we got to get this to kind of where it's on autopilot.
Yes. Yep. We have a commitment, Brian, to the cast of Smallville to dissect their work until
I'm determined.
The show is done.
Determined. We will get through this.
We made a promise to literally no one that we would do this.
One guy messaged us and was like, man, I've never seen Smallville podcast get far enough. I hope you guys do it. I'm like, we got to do it for that guy.
Wait, did someone really?
Yeah.
Oh, we got to go the distance now.
We got to go the distance for that guy. So, hey, that guy. You rule, and you are the sole reason we are keeping this going.
I wonder why no one else has gotten all the way done. Maybe just because no one was listening, or because...
Here's an issue with the show. I don't know if I talked about this on the show before, but it does get increasingly harder to jump into the deeper into Smallville we get.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Because
so
we leave the self-contained stuff way behind. It's just...
Right. And then, like, it's, well, I kind of want to start at the beginning, and then you have a ton of shows. Like, maybe I'll start a whole rewatch, and then I'll rewatch along with
Luckily, we did an entire season with no one listening.
So we got a whole jump start. We got a whole jump start for you. You can just...
you literally can't go back if you want to with us.
Can't do it. So that's just how it is. And but that said, I'm determined for that guy.
Oh no, we're gonna finish this fucking show.
Just to say, that's not even, us talking about it may sound like we're not going to. No, there's no doubt in my mind. I do not know what the timeline is that we will finish it. But before we die, this will be finished.
We got through Zero. You know, we got through a lot of lows, and we could have stopped many times. You had a kid. Like,
didn't stop us.
We're going. We're doing this.
We're doing this.
This episode that we're covering tonight, which I have dubbed the Nietzsche line episode.
So many Nietzsche lines this episode.
It's quite something.
Hoofa doofa.
Should we talk about the Aquaman of it all before we get in, or should we just? I think
what we should say, first off, is we watched AQUA. It's the 4th episode in the 5th season of Smallville. It's the 92nd episode overall. This aired October 20th, 2005.
Did you say 92nd?
92nd episode overall, yes.
Brian, we're 8 away from 100. What are we going to do on the 100?
What are we going to do? We need a
birthday cake for ourselves? Like, what?
We got a little while to figure it out. And we should blow it up. Yeah. We should do a grand fucking. That means we've done. Jesus Christ!
What if we kill off a character in the 100th episode?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yep.
We kill off Doctor Strange too. Oh no!
Someone
what if we kill off
die.
Wheat Boy?
Wheat Boy's not. Zach, don't be fucking ridiculous. Wheat Boy is goddamn gold. Wheat Boy is going to take this podcast to the stratosphere. We don't fucking kill off the star, Zach.
Yeah, the network's like, Wheat Boy's untouchable. Wheat Boy is untouchable. You can kill off anyone else. Wheat Boy's untouchable.
Anybody else. Zach, this is the Aquaman episode. This was a huge hit for the WB. What are your feelings on the superhero character Aquaman?
I knew less than nothing about him before Smallville. I mean, I knew there was someone named Aquaman.
Sure.
But that's it. That's the end of it. And now that I've watched this and other episodes of Smallville wherein he appears, that's about as much as I know is what he in Smallville.
Sure.
I mean, I've seen Justice League, both
there
cuts.
There you go. You have not seen the Aquaman film that is actually good, but you've seen both Justice Leagues.
Yes, that's correct. And Batman v
Neither of
Superman.
which are good. Yes.
Dawn of Justice.
So you've seen, yeah.
And
okay.
I have not seen the Entourage.
I also have never seen Entourage.
But I guess there's an Aquaman movie in that the fake actor in the show is a big part of. Right.
Okay. Aquaman has a little bit of a place in my heart. He was my dad's favorite. Is my dad's favorite. My dad, I say was because my dad doesn't have opinions on superheroes as a 60-year-old man. But growing up, Aquaman was my dad's favorite. There was the 60s cartoon, and I think my dad really liked that. So there was a lot of shouting. What's that?
You know what's funny is that you say, as a 60-year-old man, I don't think that's going to be something you can say in 30 years. I don't think you're going to be able, you're not going to be able to say, well, as a 6-year-old man, I don't have an opinion on superheroes.
That'll be a weird thing old people are into.
Right. It's like Westerns now.
That's exactly what it is.
We can only hope. We can only hope. I'm sorry. I don't want to sidetrack you from your story, but I did text you this week because there were projections for Blue Beetle being really low, and I have nothing against the people who made that movie or that movie in general, but my text was, I'm celebrating the decline of the superhero movie like our parents' generation was celebrating the death of disco.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Which is odd to say on a Smallville recap podcast.
That's generally the thing about our show, right? It's like if you go to a lot of other Smallville podcasts, you're going to find a lot of people who have a big interest in the superhero genre. Not us, baby. Not us, baby.
We're here for the teen drama.
We're here for the teen, and when we are into superheroes at our most, we're into Batman movies, right?
You're right, yeah. Or Superman movies.
Right. We have a very specific, and when they stop being good, stop doing them.
Yes. Interesting. This weekend, Oppenheimer and Barbie grossed $20 bajillion, and people are trying to figure out why. And it's because they're good.
It's amazing how that works. It is also. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Now, can I remember my train of thought? God, I hope so. It's interesting how I remember I was going to say that part. Fuck off. No, I lost
Brian,
it. It's gone.
You were talking about your dad being 60, and we were talking about Aquaman before.
Right. No, I don't think it has anything to do with any of that. So I'll just go back to the story I was saying. So Aquaman was one of my dad's favorites. And then I remember an era in the early 2000s internet, that perhaps, I believe Entourage was a part of this, where Aquaman was the butt of every superhero joke.
You yourself, when we were at film school, wrote a very funny, I might say, sketch about the Justice League kicking Aquaman out of the Justice League because his powers were so lame.
Right, because I was a hack.
No, bro, best sketch in our class. I'm not exaggerating.
Thank you. I don't remember it too well, but which I think is maybe a good thing. I probably have the
script in my files.
That's okay. I think that's okay. I'll let that one lie. And Glenn Weldon at one point, he's written a book about Batman and kind of his cultural relevance. He's written a book about Superman and his kind of cultural relevance. And he has specifically said, like, the Aquaman joke was in the arsenal of, like, every hack comedian in the 2000s. Of, like, it kind of just became a meme, right?
Right.
And
your Family Guy did a joke, right?
Right, right. Because it is a little, even in, I've watched the Aquaman cartoon that my dad would have watched in preparation for this episode. They're kind of fun. They're very cheap and they're very dumb. But in between, so the show goes, there's an Aquaman story, bookending both. So there's two Aquaman stories an episode, but in between is the rest of the Super Friends episode, because Aquaman can't fucking help in space. Green Lantern and Superman fly off and like, man, these aliens are coming and we gotta fight them. Let's go. And Aquaman's like, I'll fucking chill here, I guess.
Yeah.
Until it's my segment
let me know
again.
If you need a dolphin.
And I think that has to do, it's funny, especially how Aquaman kind of got stuck in that position, because superheroes are traditionally crime fighters, right? Which forgets their origin at Aquaman's much closer to a Tarzan, right? He lives among the water. He's Tarzan. He solves water problems that don't affect an oil company is making a robot and it's disturbing the sea life. And that's the kind of shit Aquaman deals with.
Right.
So that it's you can't put Aquaman in a Batman story because it don't make no fucking sense. He doesn't solve mysteries.
No.
He controls the fish.
Like if there was a problem at the Gotham city pool,
He's
the rec center.
Maybe your guy. He's maybe your guy. And he's got him on the water. How would he get there? He's not getting on a plane.
How does he do with chlorine?
I did like the James Wan movie. I am a James Wan fan.
You're skipping over a very important blip in the Aquaman history, which is because of this episode of Smallville, we got the much maligned Aquaman pilot,
which we are definitely going to watch for our Patreon, right? That you can find a link to in the description. Well, we haven't watched it yet, so it's not going to be available too soon. But
right, I believe they made it between this season and next season, so sometime between now and then we'll watch it.
But the Patreon is the place where it's going to be. We have, speaking of the Patreon, once again, there's a link in the description of this podcast. We super appreciate it. If anyone feels the desire to help support the show, we most recently talked about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning and what else we've been watching over the last couple of weeks. I think a Barbie Oppenheimer Ninja Turtles episode is coming in the very near future.
I will, if that's the case, I'm going to see Ninja Turtles then, so we can talk about it. I kind of was going to see it anyway, but
that was actually maybe what I was going to talk about earlier, that I lost my train of thought on. So Ninja Turtles are my guys. I love my Ninja Turtles. The Ninja Turtles movie doesn't have to be good. I'm seeing Ninja Turtles. I got my big thing of popcorn. I got my big thing of soda. I'm going to have an okay time at a Ninja Turtles movie no matter what. I'd rather be at a bad Ninja Turtles movie than no Ninja Turtles movie. And the thing is, I think people feel that way about superhero movies too, and that's fine. That's okay. But I guess what's annoying is just that for a while there they were just all movies. Every movie was one of these.
Here's the thing. I think people did feel that way about superhero movies, but imagine if every movie that came out ever was a bad Ninja Turtles movie. I think eventually you would be like, okay, I'm good.
Yes. Definitely. I mean, I guess, yes, I was in that superhero crowd of like, hey, it had a superhero in it, man.
We both were.
Yes.
We both were. You and I were coming up in the boom of superhero movie when it was like, oh, we got Spider-Man 2. I remember when Spider-Man 2 was so big and X-Men was so big and it was like, oh man, superhero movies are taking over. There was like 3 a year.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah, and there were people going, there's a lot of these now.
Yes, yeah.
I have no idea.
3 a year, and like one would stick. And then the other, you get your Daredevil or whatever, or, your Green Lantern.
It's to your point. I do think the fact that it was just comic book stuff got us through some dark days of Smallville.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. There's a flip side to it for sure.
Right. But it was just, I don't know.
I do think, unless you're going to do one of the big ones, maybe the small screen is the place for this kind of stuff.
I fully agree. I have said multiple times, I think Superman and Lois is on the CW presently is better than most of the Superman movies we've gotten. I think he's a great television character, which is the brand can't quite take, right? Because he's the big guy. That's the most recognizable symbol in pop culture, one of, next to Mickey Mouse and Mario. It's like they can't let it go. It's gotta be something that sticks.
Totally. I mean, because I think Batman is also a great TV character. I mean, literally, he was in the 60s with the animated series. Like, you can make a great Batman show. The show Arrow, which went for like 7 seasons, it's basically Batman with Green Arrow instead.
Yeah.
You could make a great Batman show, but that is their crown jewel. You cannot. They're not going to give you that on TV when they.
You gotta pay for Batman. Yeah. I get the CW over my antenna, on my television.
Right.
You gotta pay for Batman.
Yes. Unless it's a cartoon, this is something you're going to shovel money for.
Which the cartoon, let's also be real, half of how a cartoon gets made is like we can sell toys on this. So like there's still some money happening.
The cartoon came out after Batman and Batman Returns were really big.
Yep.
I mean, it features that theme song in the opening credits of the cartoon.
Oh, God, Batman the Animated Series is so fucking good. When we're looking for filler content, we should do some highlights of Batman and Superman the Animated Series.
I would totally do that.
Great. Wonderful. Let's do it. Should we start recapping Aqua? Do you have any larger, broader thoughts?
No, let's get into Aqua. I'm sure more will come up as we go.
A summer party is in progress at Crater Lake. Clark and Lana are already there when Lois and Chloe arrive on the scene. Everybody's in bikinis and swimsuits. Everybody looks great. Everybody did push-ups before.
Everyone looks fantastic. No one is really talking about the fact that Clark died last week.
Nope, we're over that.
I mean, Chloe does kind of mention it. My favorite part is Clark got shot, right? Shot last week and died, and then he got his powers back and
full died. Yep.
So in order to cover up where his bullet wound would be, he's wearing literally a Band-Aid.
Yep.
Like not a small one, but like one of those bigger, like 1 inch by 2 inch Band-Aids, but a Band-Aid over where the bullet wound is supposed to be. To, I guess, fool Lana. What is the long-term plan? Is he going to just like eventually do like prosthetics like every day, just apply?
Yep. Chloe's got a makeup guy who comes to the farm every single day. And then he'll still insist he's the good guy here and that everyone else is bad for suspecting him of being a big old liar pants.
And then he runs into Lois at the beach. And this is like presumably the first time he's seen her in a long time. And she's not like, hey, heard you died. What's up with that?
Zach, if you got shot in between times I've seen you, I think all we would talk about is the time you got shot.
Right. Yes, dude. Yeah.
That'd be probably the first thing. Hey, tell me about getting shot.
Yeah, I got elbowed at a basketball game, and I talked about it on this podcast and talked about it to anyone who would listen for like 3 weeks. No one cared. But if I got shot, you'd be listening to that story.
I think so.
For a long time. Now, obviously, Clark doesn't want to tell the story, but people would be asking me about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's rather than put that bandage on, they would have been better just not. Like, don't even make me think of it,
Right. I mean, that's probably why it's so small, because they're like...
Tried to have it both ways. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Can't do that. Okay, Lois goes swimming. She does a backwards dive, but hits her head on a piece of driftwood and starts to sink underwater.
She jumps right into it. I mean, she jumps right into that thing.
Chloe becomes aware of the dangerous situation and calls on Clark to help Lois. Once underwater, Clark super speeds into Lois's direction, but a mysterious guy, that's what the Wikipedia says, a mysterious guy outswims him. The young man revives Lois and introduces himself as Arthur A.C. Curry. So I think we do get like I don't know how underwater photography works. I think we do get a tank shot here. They do appear to be underwater. The effect otherwise is what's the word? Silly.
I mean, the effects weren't good enough to not do it underwater back then, I don't think. Right.
So we get our first. This is Alan Ritchson as AC. We'll put a pin in that. But Alan Ritchson here, this is like one of his first roles, I believe. I think it's the same like trajectory of a lot of these CW guys. Model gets this thing. He's talked on Michael Rosenbaum's podcast Inside of You about how like he's a guest star on an episode. It's a huge hit. It's like, holy crap, this is going to be big for me. And it was not. It would take a little. He's done well since then. He's in both of the Michael Bay Ninja Turtle movies as Raphael, where he apparently had a miserable experience, but like, I could have told you that. And then he's also, I believe, most recently appeared in Fast 10. And he...
alongside another Aquaman.
That is true. God damn, that is true. Do you think they talked about it?
Oh, for sure. They were like, yo,
they
bro.
were never on set at the same time.
They're part of a super secret fraternity, Brian.
Yes. He's also he's Jack Reacher now on Amazon. I have not seen that show. I've read a couple of those books. Enjoyed them fine. But he's a much better Jack. He looks much more than fucking Tom Cruise in a movie that's pretty good. That movie, Jack Reacher's
I mean, that's McQuarrie's.
Yeah. I didn't. They made another one. I didn't see it.
The second one I saw 5 minutes of in the theater and walked out. So
wow.
Although we were late and there were people talking, and so we were like, "This movie sucks."
There were a lot of factors.
Talking.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Do you walk out of movies frequently?
No.
Yeah.
Very rarely, unless it's something like that where like there's someone.
Right. I don't think I ever have. I've wanted to a couple of times, almost did a couple of times, but I don't think I've bitten the bullet and left.
I mean, that might be the only time, honestly.
Wow, Tom.
Yeah. Well,
Tom.
Like I said, if the other factors weren't there, we would have stayed and watched.
Right. At the end of the day, your time is valuable, and you don't have to just sit there.
We were
mad.
like, if we leave now, we could get our money back. You know, if we wait too much longer, it's going to be tougher.
Right. I remember seeing Avatar, it was just called The Last Airbender, the M. Night Shyamalan adaptation of the Nickelodeon animated series.
Yeah.
It's my brother and I, my brother Sean, who has not been on the show, and I were big fans of the cartoon, the Nickelodeon cartoon, and we were like, how bad can it be? I'd heard all the podcasts and knew it was going to be bad, but I had to see it. I had to see what they did. We get maybe 20 minutes in, and my brother leans over to me and like, can we go? It's a late night. Can we just leave? And I'm like, no, we're in it. We're in it now. And boy, the movie did not get better. That is a bad movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've had many experiences where pretty quick I was like, oh, no.
Oh, no.
Because I'm not at home. I'm not just going to change the channel.
Right.
I paid for this fucking movie. I'm here with other people. We're here for the duration.
My seatbelt is fastened. Let's go.
Yeah. Brian, the worst one. In 1998, a little movie called Battlefield Earth came out. And I had plans to go see it with my father that weekend because we saw all the movies together. And so the plan, usually was a Saturday, maybe a Sunday. So that Friday night, I was with my friend, and his parents are like, we're going to take you to see Battlefield Earth. And I was like, I want to see it. So I went, knowing full well I would have to watch it again the next day with my dad.
No.
Yeah, so I watched Battlefield Earth. It was bad. And then the next day, because I didn't want to tell my dad, I watched Battlefield Earth again.
You didn't even come clean. You saw Battlefield Earth twice in theaters.
I may be the only human being on the planet who saw that movie twice in theaters.
Except maybe, Except
like hardcore Scientologists, maybe, like just to support it.
And like, I'm sure John Travolta saw it more than once in the editing bay.
Right, exactly. I'm like the only paying civilian to see that movie twice in theaters.
You're on the board. You're on the board.
Yeah, it's me and like 20 other people, like worldwide.
Max. That's... I have not seen Battlefield Earth myself. I made it 10 minutes. And it was on something like Netflix, and I put it on, and I couldn't do it.
It's not even fun bad.
No. It was truly I have a life to live.
Give me Lake Placid too, if those are my choices.
Any day. I want to talk real fast. Oh, sorry.
That's one of the few. Last thing. Well, that's one of the few notoriously bad movies that has not gotten some defenders since the time it came out. That's not like no one's like, you know what? Nope. That movie's actually kind of like Batman and Robin. Like now is like a cult classic.
Right. I was just watching. My wife and I were just watching Showgirls. It was on Pluto.
Right.
And man, I love that fucking movie.
Totally. No one is doing that with Battlefield Earth. No one's like...
not a one.
Legit bad movie.
Just nothing. This is for nobody.
If we hypothetically had a podcast in the future where we were covering movies of different quality, that would not be on the show.
No, we're not. That would be like a punishment. The end of like a punishment storyline.
Right? Yeah, that's the shocking season finale.
Yes.
Yeah. We're forced to watch Battlefield Earth.
I want to talk about Arthur Curry, Aquaman, and the name he says his friends call him on the television show Smallville. So he introduces, as he pulls Lois from Crater Lake, he's like, hey, I'm Arthur Curry. My friends call me AC.
Yeah, he's literally, they're dragging this woman who's like almost drowned. It's like, this is his intro. Like, by the way, you shouldn't call me Arthur Curry, but you should wouldn't you just be like, my name's AC?
No one calls you AC because, you would just introduce yourself as AC.
he's
actually, you're in Kansas? What the hell? Let's try this out. Let's see if it goes.
He's like George in Seinfeld trying to get people to call him T-Bone.
Yes. No, I'm not seeing. It's also AC is very awkward in like anytime anyone says the two letters do not work together as a name. No. So it always feels like marbles so maybe not quite that bad, but like it's two sounds that don't go great together like that.
Well, my friends call me TW. Like what? No, what?
Right. AJ is good. JD is good.
Yeah.
AC. I don't know why, but like something. It's a friction point for me.
He's a cool surfer dude, so you can't call him Arthur. You know what I mean? Like,
of course. Except you could, because that's his name.
You could call him Curry, but
call him fucking Aquaman. Just don't call him fucking AC, man.
My friends, what if he said that? My friends call me Aquaman. That would have been great.
Good. That would have been great. Should have done that.
That's too direct for them. They're like, we got to dress it up with some Nietzsche line garbage.
Yes. All right, the next day, Professor Milton Fine lectures in front of freshman students at Central Kansas University. When Clark arrives late, he catches Fine's attention. Fine explains that history is about the context and who is telling the story.
This professor,
Quote unquote.
Teaching the first day of his history class, and we open on him talking about like the supercomputer. He's like, you know what the most powerful supercomputer in the world is? The human brain. It's like, what are you talking about? This is history class.
And then he also says that we only use 10% of it thing, which we don't. We use our whole brain.
Right, which also we heard that one in elementary school.
Right.
This is college.
It's
If I was in that class, I would be like, this is off the fucking rails. This guy is rambling. I need to talk to someone. Is he okay?
It's very like bad Dead Poet Society kind of.
Yeah.
It's mixed with a very distinct like Evil Wilson as a character. Evil Wilson personified.
It's like, this is a college professor. He's going to challenge Clark.
It's a middle school viewer. It's an 8th grade Smallville viewer's idea of a college professor.
Right. Like, did a college professor ever call you out for being a few minutes late to the...
By name?
You're right.
You think your fucking college professor knows your fucking name?
Now, we should reveal to the listener, spoilers, but... This college professor, I guess it's not spoilers because we saw him in the pilot. They reveal
he did come out of a spaceship.
He came out of the spaceship. Yeah. Spoilers, he's Brainiac, which is why he's talking about supercomputers.
Right.
Now, I don't know if this was the best. Like, why did they choose to not have it be a surprise? Like, why did they show him come out of the ship? Why not have it be like, who's this mysterious professor? What's the benefit? You think
so? It's worth noting this is James Marsters, who most famously played Spike on the TV shows Buffy and Angel, 2 of my favorite shows of all time. And he was hot enough at the moment. We're 2005. We are at the end of Angel, where he might be appearing now as Spike on the final season of Angel, which is the only reason Angel got its 5th season, was the WB, still the WB at this point, them going, we'll renew the show, but Buffy's over, bring Spike to Angel, and we'll do another season. That's effectively what happened. So are we very quickly trying to like throw a bit in there so we can advertise James Marsters as a big part of this season?
Oh, maybe like just in the
premiere
first episode. Yes, that makes the most sense.
It's the premiere. Yep. Oh, James Marsters is here, the guy you like from that other show.
Because I really think if I play it out, it works way better the other way, where he's just a mysterious character that's revealed to be Brainiac. Because then it's like, oh fuck, that's Brainiac. You know,
right. It's instead we just know something's off about him.
Yes.
Do you think... Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead. You first.
Do you think he's doing a good job here?
Yeah, he's doing a Smallville good job.
Yeah, I think he is doing his job.
Right, yeah, he's playing the role that is written. Like he's doing what he's supposed to do.
The writing is silly. It's not totally his fault here.
I have a question. So Brainiac we'll find out he's basically just trying to fuck with Clark for revenge purposes or whatever, right. I think. So he's getting close to him and becoming his confidant to do that. Do we think there was an easier way than teaching an entire course out of
what does he do with the rest of his time? Do you think it's like, well, I want to do a good job while I'm here?
Right, yeah. He's like, God, fuck, I forgot I was going to have to grade everyone else's papers too. Cheap motherfucker. Yeah.
Do you think there's an element of like, a Brainiac as he learns about the history of Earth of just like, is like, oh, there is some interesting shit here though.
Yeah, yeah. Is he building like genuine relationships with other students in the class?
Yeah. It's in the future where Clark Kent is Superman and like Brainiac is a recurring villain. Do you think someone's sitting home? Is that my fucking history teacher?
Yeah, that looks like the guy who taught my history class.
He was fucking weird, dude.
Oh, yeah. I have a similar story like that. I probably shouldn't tell it on a podcast, but a professor of mine from community college here in Portland, I eventually saw on the news.
Whoa!
Years later, I was like, "Is that the?" Yep, looked it up. Yep, that's him.
Whoa!
Yep. Won't go into details, but it was quite a shock.
My wife's high school principal. I can say these things is general enough, and I don't know. I'm just saying what I've heard. High school principal, I believe, absconded with a principal of another school. They got hitched, like left their respective spouses for one another, fucked off, and like had a whole Breaking Bad life.
Whoa!
Yup.
That's a fucking movie. Emily should write that movie. That's fucking wild.
It's fucking crazy. Crazy.
What?
I wish I had more details. It's just like at the top of mind, I'm like, oh yeah, that's...
I like this world where principals of different schools interact at like a principal club or something where they met.
And then
like
fuck
some
down big time. And then go sell drugs.
Whoa.
What a story. What a tale.
Man, did they end up running Smallville High School once, they're looking for a new
I believe they're both
principal?
in jail.
Yeah. That wouldn't stop them from being the head of Smallville High, I don't think. But.
That's not a disqualifier. Okay, so when Fine explains that history is about the context and who is telling the story. He pretends to be interested in Clark's story, only to find a good transition to talk about Lex Luthor and his evil doings.
A good transition?
I don't know about that qualifier.
He shoehorns it in.
You ever have somebody come to your door trying to sell you something and they start with like the small talk and then like boom into the pitch? That's
we all know. We know what you're doing here.
The meanest I've ever been was, and I didn't mean to be, it was just truly the place I was in that day. It's a young woman. She comes to my door. It's something like internet, Comcast, Fios, something. I'm not sure. Something about my internet. And she comes to the door and she starts, like clearly she has notes. Like that she's, or something internalized she's working from of like, be pleasant, say hello, hi. And then it's like, comment on something of like, I don't know if it was a t-shirt or something, but she tries to make a polite, do you like blank, blank, blank? I'm just like, literally, I'm just like, what do you want? Which is not usually my vibe, but like, I just wasn't having that day. And I'm just, what do you want?
Yeah. I mean,
and then the poor woman, she pivots and she's still trying to kind of keep it pleasant. And I think at one point I go, and I never do this. What do you want?
Right. Well, you're trying to live your life and they're visiting you at home.
I know you're not here for a conversation about whatever is on my t-shirt. What do you want from me so that I can say no?
I mean, I'm sure she gets way worse than that. Like, not interested, slam the door, that kind of thing.
Right. Not my brightest moment, but whew. Okay, so Milton Fine even compares Lex with violent dictators like Stalin, Hitler, or Napoleon, prompting Clark to defend Lex. I also love, like he goes, Stalin, Hitler, or Napoleon. Like Napoleon is the headline act of that list. I don't know Napoleon that well, but maybe that's kind of part of the point. I think there's a headline act among those three.
Right? Yeah,
I got stuck between.
I think there's a clear ranking, an order. But to say which one you think is first is going to offend someone else. You know what I mean? Like,
And yeah, I'm not
because
saying what the right order is. I just don't think that's it.
The top two really fucked some shit up in a really negative way. And so if you place one or imply that one is over the other, I think you're going to get heat from someone.
Right.
Be like, oh, so they're not as bad?
That's entirely true. That is entirely correct. Now, granted, I'm saying I don't know Napoleon that well. I know he's a little short dude. I know there was something about mountains at some point. I know there were buttons. But I don't know if he's number one. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Ridley Scott is making a movie about Napoleon with Joaquin Phoenix. No one's making a big budget biopic about the other two.
That is true. That's true. The other two are so bad, they're not marketable.
No, absolutely not. They made a movie about one of them about 20 years ago that's supposed to be really good. I've never seen it. But I remember it came under a lot of fire because it's like too sympathetic towards him. And I'm sure it wasn't that sympathetic, but like
the movie you're talking about is Downfall. That is the famous meme where it's a clip of Hitler yelling and then they subtitle it something about like he's mad about fucking Ninja Turtles or something.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I think just from putting him as the central character, like you forced people to empathize with him even a little bit as a central character of something. And so that's why people are like, oh, no. We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
Right.
We can't do this.
So it's just very funny that it was, or Napoleon. Like, yeah, you really brought the heat on the last one there.
You don't have to say three things. You can just make a list of two.
So Clark defends Lex, basically saying he's not as bad as those guys. Congrats, Lex. Clark doesn't think you're as bad as Hitler.
I bet Napoleon.
Or Stalin.
Lex would be like, oh, I'm fucking kind of like Napoleon.
Right. At the Talon, AC visits with Lois, and they good-naturedly tease each other. Lois ribs AC's choice of wardrobe, and he comments on her swimming abilities. It is funny here. AC is wearing Miami University's colors where he swims, but that's also like kind of Aquaman's classic outfit. It's dumb as a bag of rocks, but I kind of like it.
What a weird coincidence.
Yeah.
The big problem of this episode for me is the utter lack of chemistry between Aquaman and Lois Lane.
Doesn't work. Alan Ritchson, I would not say is in top form here. I would say he gets better over time as an actor.
And I honestly don't know if it's all his fault. It's weird. It's like weirdly edited and paced and staged. It's like very slow moving. It's
another superhero comes to town and then starts macking on the woman we know will marry the main character in the future is a good idea. That's a good thing. It's a common thing. It's not the first time this has been done. But like it should have more of a spark to it, right? It should feel a little more fun.
There's no spark.
Or
when people have chemistry, like a romantic chemistry, it's usually a little quicker, a little more rat-a-tat.
Yes.
It didn't feel that here.
No. Which just happens. You're on the, you're trying to make one of these out a week. Right. Yeah. Right. Look, we cast the most handsome dude we could to be Aquaman. You get what
gotta
you
get the viewers. Yeah.
It's a one-off episode,
Right. But that, I'm wondering if that's why he was not cast in the pilot of Aquaman.
Yeah. I think he does talk about it on that Michael Rosenbaum podcast, and like I think there was a general assessment that like he wasn't quite ready to lead a TV series, and I think I could be pulling this completely out of thin air, but he even says he probably wasn't.
Right. Well, and that show didn't do shit, so it's probably good for him. That's
true. So AC uses Lois's swimming abilities as an opportunity to strike up a quote-unquote deal and spend some more time with Lois. She can show him how to dress, and he can teach her how to swim. Lois agrees self-confidently. Clark finds Professor Fine to excuse himself for being late. They have a brief conversation about personal attitudes towards life, and then Fine offers Clark a job to find out the truth about Lex Luthor himself. He still needs a few research assistants, but Clark doesn't take the opportunity. Just moving the football on the Clark Brainiac storyline. Nothing too crazy or notable in this scene, I thought.
The only thing was when he's like, how long have you been friends with Lex Luthor? And Clark's like, how'd you know that? And he's like, a simple deduction. Why else would a Kansas farm boy be defending a billionaire? And I'm like, oh, is it that obvious?
Yeah.
That's a leap, buddy. That's a bit of a leap.
Right, especially now in the year of our Lord 2023, when a lot of Kansas farm boys are defending a billionaire.
Right. Oh, didn't even think of that.
Yep.
Topical.
There we go. Oh, they're going to shut us down for being too punk rock. So at Crater Lake, Lois and AC enjoy some relaxed swimming until Lois initiates a race. Arthur easily wins the race, although he starts a few seconds after Lois. She is honestly impressed, but not suspicious of him. They have an intimate moment on the footbridge, almost starting to kiss each other when a high-pitched noise hurts Arthur. Yes, Zach?
Really quickly, almost start to kiss each other is a bit of a stretch. He starts brushing her hair back, and she goes, what are you doing? And then he leans in for a kiss. If you're brushing someone's hair back and they say, what are you doing? Not an invitation.
That is not the sign. That is not the sign. It works out for him here because she does want to smooch him. That was that all calculations read don't do that.
That was a real 2005 move. You know what I mean?
Yep. In general, when someone implies they don't want to kiss you, don't kiss them.
You and I know less about women than many people, but we both know that's not an invitation to kiss them.
That's the one thing I got.
When a woman says, "What are you doing?" Stop.
I have a pretty good read of when a woman does not want to kiss me.
Me too. Yeah.
I have that one pretty practiced. I
see it a lot. Yeah.
Got a lot of experience in that area. Okay, so a high-pitched noise hurts Arthur. He falls into the water and makes a quick escape to find the power source. He can't bear the volume of the noise for long and subsequently returns to Lois suffering from severe pain. His ears are bleeding, and Lois is shocked at his condition and extremely concerned for him. Any other notes here? High-pitched squeal. Uh-oh. They got AC.
Blood out of the ears, usually a bad sign.
So it's not great. Not very good. At the Luthor Mansion, Lex analyzes the effect of a marine weapon called Leviathan. He is very happy with the results of the last test, which causes him to think about selling Leviathan to the U.S. Navy. When the doctor asks what will happen to the marine life in the surrounding areas, Lex reveals an unscrupulous ecological behavior towards life. Wiki,
we're trying a little too hard here.
Let me read that sentence again here. Once again, thank you, Wiki Writer, for providing most of the content of our podcast. To be clear there, but when the doctor asks him what will happen to the marine life in the surrounding area, Lex reveals an unscrupulous ecological behavior towards life. That was wild to cold read.
I don't. Unscrupulous ecological behavior, wouldn't it be a unscrupulous behavior toward ecological life?
That makes more sense and still maybe isn't.
It's not an ecological behavior,
right? But basically Lex here is like, I don't care about fish.
Yeah, he says. Well, what he says is there's plenty of fish in the sea.
Right. It's a lake, Lex. I do feel like this is the most super villainy Lex we've seen so far.
Oh, I was gonna make that same point, but later when he captures Aquaman, it's like
great. Let's see.
Finally, Rosenbaum is getting to twirl his mustache, and he's really good at it.
Yes. Okay, Lois cares for a weakened AC who recovers after drinking a glass of water. Lois wants to talk about the incident again, but AC has other things on his mind. He gently touches Lois, but when he kisses her, she refuses. Lois wants a lot of this. Lois cannot fight AC's charm for long, and she starts to kiss him passionately. A lot of Lois being like, "Don't kiss me, bro," and then what a message are we sending to young men?
If you honestly, if people today are ever wondering why men got so fucked up, it's because of shit like this in TV and movies, where it's like, if at first they say no, just try harder.
Just keep at it. Just keep
They'll
at it. They want to. They do love you.
They'll decide they're in love with you if you're persistent enough. Just hold a boombox up in their front yard.
Dark. I gotta say, I have certainly my share of like shitty man things that I do. Never been confused that a woman wasn't interested. Just generally when I get like the like not interested in you vibe, it's a very cool. Yeah, you're right. That was dumb of me to even maybe think.
You're right. I'm an idiot. I'll go die now.
I'm gonna go, like an animal goes and finds a dark place to go and die. That'll be me later.
Oh shit.
Okay, so AC and Lois are making out. Suddenly, Clark enters the house and interrupts them. Clark wants to know more about AC and his amazing abilities. To be fair, most people who show up in Smallville with superpowers have been bad guys.
Right.
I'd say the scale tilts a certain way.
95% of people with superpowers are psychopaths on this show. So
that's how it goes. Chloe finds out that he is a sophomore student at the University of Miami, majoring in marine biology. In addition, he is a prominent member of its swim team. He has not visited Smallville until recently, which Clark takes to mean that his abilities are not the result of meteor rock exposure. It's a result. He does talk about living in a lighthouse, not knowing his mom. Haha, it all must come from her side. Haha, it does. Does it count as a Nietzsche line? Is that a Nietzsche line? Does it count if it's about Aquaman? I'm going to say it doesn't count.
Because the audience, part of the Nietzsche line is the audience has to know what you're referring to.
Right.
I had no idea about that.
Aquaman has like a mermaid mom.
Well, there you go. I mean, that is a Nietzsche line. Yeah.
Specifically, like, must have been, I don't know, my mom must have got it from her side.
Yeah.
Boo. That's not the worst of it. There's going to be,
no.
We're going to be swimming in Nietzsche shit.
Yeah.
I did at one point think it'd be funny if I did a shot every time a Nietzsche line came up in the recap. But I think I would die. I think I'd die. I think I'd be dead.
You would. I stopped trying to write them down pretty quick. Okay. They're just doing this. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those. Lois is at the Talon admiring AC in front of Lana. Clark joins the small group, asking Arthur why he has come to Smallville. He specifically is like, what brought you to landlocked Kansas?
Not very landlocked in this show, actually.
I've seen that Metropolis Bay area. The Metropolis waterfront. AC says that he worries about the recent mass mortality of the fish in Crater Lake. The fish dying in Crater Lake, Wiki. The mass mortality of the fish in Crater Lake. Wiki, what is happening? We got a show to run here. He gives a speech about ecological responsibility and the way it all affects people. AC's speech impresses the girls, which makes Clark a bit jealous and doubtful about AC's true motives. Due to Clark's rudeness, Arthur leaves the Talon, and Clark already regrets his behavior. No,
No, it was an act.
no, you've right. He tells the girls that he's going to go apologize and follows AC out of the Talon. So he does come up and say, "You know what? I was a jerk. I'm going to go apologize." He's not going to go apologize. Wiki.
No, he's following him.
Right. That's his excuse to the women that he's
Wiki
lying
writer.
to.
You should spend more time watching the episode, less time looking up fancy words.
AC trespasses onto a Luthor Corp facility and deploys an explosive in order to destroy Leviathan, of which there was only apparently one available, according to this episode.
Yes. And they can't rebuild it.
Even though that's like the plan, right? He's going to sell it and they're going to put it on more submarines.
No, they
So
built it
this
from
is
memory. It's just the one.
It's just the one, and there are no plans for it. You can't make another one. If it's highly profitable enough, make another one. Clark appears right in time to absorb the explosive force. AC swims away, but stops when Clark blocks his way. Once again, we got some cheesy underwater effects here, but they're kind of fun for WB at the time. Arthur creates a water blister and attacks Clark. Water blister.
Is that an official Aquaman thing, maybe? Because it doesn't make any fucking sense. Water blister?
I'm Googling that right now. Water blister.
You're going to see some gross shit if you look up water blister, I bet. Just be careful.
Oh, it's awful.
Don't put it in the image.
I did, and my dude,
No, don't describe
I'm
it.
changed. I'm forever changed. Fuck, dude. Hated that.
It was a prank from the wiki writer, just to
That
get you
sucked.
to Google it.
That sucked.
I tried to stop you.
Only a few moments later, Clark counters with his super strength and super speed. A second blister from AC is strong enough to knock Clark out of the water. I'm picturing now water blisters being...
Yeah. Like, he hits him with a desert sore. Like, just like weird shit to look up.
Yeah, right. Okay, at the barn, Lois asks Clark if he has apologized to AC, but Clark states that Arthur was too busy playing terrorist. Lois interprets this as some kind of provocation and leaves the barn. AC uses the opportunity to speak of Clark's abilities with subtle irony, since Leviathan can now cause more damage.
What?
Clark...
I'm sorry, the wiki is so confusing. Keep going.
It's and I'm cold reading it too. It's like a halfway through, I'm like, oh no, I'm in deep. I'm in quicksand now of just. Okay, Clark wants to talk to Lex about the issue, and AC agrees to it only with internal resistance.
Oh man.
AC agrees to it only with
chat
internal resistance.
Can we have Chat GPT recap this episode? Probably just
Seriously.
Yeah.
Lex lies to AC. So they agree to go talk to Lex, is what those ancient hieroglyphics imply about the. Clark is like, let's go talk. I don't want to blow shit up. Let's go talk to Lex. And AC goes, fine.
Right. Wow.
Is this the bit?
He comes in his fucking tank top, like just into this stranger's home, really like heated from the beginning, like fuck you, Luke.
Yeah, right. Is this also the scene before they go to Lex back in the barn where Clark goes, Arthur, and he goes, call me AC?
Yes, because we're friends now.
No.
Because we both have powers. Yeah.
Right. Okay, Lex lies to AC and Clark about his projects when he mentions that Luthor Corp's only weapon is the one to fight hunger. Arthur is seriously angry with Lex and leaves the mansion in anger. He's seriously angry with Lex, so he leaves the mansion in anger.
Yeah.
Clark is also frustrated with Lex's obvious half-truths. Clark,
go fuck
Kettle.
yourself. So Rosenbaum is really good in that scene, and he has some real good lines. Clark talks about the environmental issues that are going on, and Lex looks at Arthur and says, "One day of college, and already he's like an environmentalist or something like that." Yeah.
Fuck, that is really good.
Yeah, and then when AC like interrupts to like be a dick, he just turns and goes, "I'm sorry, who are you again?" In my house.
It's really good.
And then he says, when Clark tells him that he shouldn't be doing whatever he's doing, he says, "Clark, the day of you barging into my home to give me sage advice are over."
Beautiful.
Love that.
Mwah.
And then Clark says,
Kiss.
the days of me believing your lies are over. Again, Clark, get bent. Go fuck yourself.
Hey, buddy.
Sit on it.
AC tries to destroy the Leviathan in a second attempt, but he is stopped with a tranquilizer. He awakens inside the facility as a captive of Lex Luthor. Lex wants to know how Arthur manages to breathe underwater. He tortures him by denying him any water. We do kind of a gross, like, film over his lips.
This is like the first true villain moment from Lex Luthor, right? I mean, it's always been kind of on the fence, and this is like a full-on, I have someone in captive who he's torturing.
He's doing a crime, a real crime.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Okay, nevertheless, Lex is unable to worm the secret out of Arthur. Luckily, Clark enters the room to save AC's life by supplying him with water.
Via the sprinkler system that for some reason Lex placed right above.
Yep.
Where
he didn't think about
Aquaman.
it.
Yeah.
He didn't think. Yeah.
He knows he needs the water. He mentions that, he's like, I have a feeling if I give you a drink of this, you'll rip out of those restraints. Maybe don't put him under the sprinkler.
How would he think that was going to go off? He doesn't even know they're there. He didn't even know. He didn't design this room. Come on, Zach. Come on.
It was the same company that designed the vents with the security
That's
system.
exactly what I was thinking of.
Closes one at a time. Yeah.
Set on the dramatic end of the dial. Okay, so Clark enters the room to save AC's life by supplying him with water. Clark offers to help AC bring down Leviathan once and for all. Meanwhile, Lex is about to present his new invention to some representatives of the Pentagon and an admiral.
Super skeptical. The admiral is just like right off the bat, like, okay, Luthor. I'm only gonna watch this once, so if something happens, this is your only shot.
During the initiation process, the cameras drop out and the demonstration fails. A few moments later, Lex recognizes two streaks super speeding, one through the water and one on the water.
He recognizes the streaks.
I
know that streak.
Clark visits Lex at the mansion and asks him about his latest project. Lex angrily admits that it was a failure due to sabotage. Thinking about Professor Fine's warning, Clark wonders if Lex knows what he has become and what he is going to be. Lex affirms it and explains that the world cannot be separated into just black and white. Clark tells him about his professor's bad opinion towards Lex and his company and tells him he seriously regrets having defended Lex. Fuck Wiki.
Man, they really made that scene sound terrible, and it's actually a very good scene.
It is a very... Could you surmise the scene?
Well, it's
a little less
at
purple.
This point where Clark knows Lex is full of shit about the weapon. Lex knows Clark is full of shit. He knows that has something to do with the destruction of it. And they're both talking to each other, like, without saying that, but still kind of saying it. Like, fuck
It's
you,
good.
I know what's going on. And then at the end, Clark he's like, the other day I had this professor who basically compared you to the devil. And then Lex says, oh, you didn't tell him about my horns and pitchfork, did you? Being all, smart aleck. And then Clark says, no, I defended you. And it's like a devastating hit.
Yep.
It lands. You can see Lex go, oh, fuck. And then he leaves and says, I guess I am naive or something. So it's a good scene.
Good. It is a very good scene. Later, Clark calls on Professor Fine to ask him if he's still looking for research assistants. Fine specifies all of the conditions that Clark has to fulfill. He agrees with Fine and his idealistic attitude. I believe the line here, Milton Fine says, I don't want an employee or research assistant who changes his mind as often as he changes his clothes. Well, the good news is Clark's outfit is pretty consistent.
Yeah, I was going to say. Good news is I have 3 shirts.
Yeah. Sometimes paired with jacket.
The jackets are the color of the other shirt.
Yep.
I have a red shirt and a blue jacket, and a blue shirt and a red jacket, and
I'm
sometimes
primary
flannel.
color boy. The last encounter of AC and Clark is affected by mutual respect and admiration. AC thanks Clark for helping him to save the marine life of Crater Lake. Clark warns him to beware of Lex in the future because he witnessed his abilities. However, AC is confident concerning the safety of his future whereabouts. The two say goodbye to each other as friends. There's a terrible line here.
We're burying the lead, Wiki.
Yep. Zach, how does the line go?
Well, the AC.
Would you like to perform one part of the line and I'll perform the other? Which would you prefer I set you up, or would you like to set
I'll be
me up?
Aquaman. I'll be Aquaman.
Great.
Yo, man, maybe we should get together, form a junior lifeguard association or something.
I don't think I'm quite ready for the JLA just yet.
Oh, it hurt me to listen to you. It hurt me to listen to you say it. Oh,
This is normally the Nietzsche line. The Nietzsche lines exist on a boo, they're bad, but I like them. No. Bad. Bad
writers.
Bad. Get the hose.
It's so. I mean, we could talk about why this is bad for a while. First of all,
Certainly.
like, why would they form a junior lifeguard association? Junior, they're not junior.
Junior? You're adult men.
Right. A lifeguard association, okay, baby, because you both can swim really well, I guess. But then for Clark to be like, I'm going to just turn that into an acronym right now.
Right.
People don't talk like that.
What Clark says is, I'm not quite ready for the JLA just yet, rather than, what the fuck are you talking about? Why the fuck would I want to do that?
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, it would be if, like, I was like, Brian, we should start a movie watchers club. And you were like, oh, I'm not ready for the MWC quite yet.
That is exactly what just happened.
I would say, what? MWC? Oh, you just made it into an acronym. Okay. That was weird.
Now, what if I just responded to that with, you'll see? Or rather, it'll be a guy leaning over to his girlfriend and whispering, you see, they'll join a government military faction called MWC at some point. Not they won't be lifeguards, but it'll have that.
It actually tops the one from the end of the Flash episode, which is basically the exact same beat, where the Flash is like, we should start a club or a league or something.
Why do you think this episode was so much more successful than the Flash one?
That's a good question. Maybe it's because the guy playing the superhero in this one is a big hunky dude. I don't know.
Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. It's certainly
Maybe advertising was more heavy.
yeah, they just went heavier on it. I don't know. That would be I'll be interested for when Talkville gets to those 2 episodes, I suppose. Lois and AC's final meeting takes place at Crater Lake. Lois asks AC if he will ever return to Smallville, but he confesses it's very unlikely. They share one last intense kiss before AC leaves. Love him and leave him.
Is that the end of the recap?
No, we got one more paragraph here. Later, Lois and Clark talk about Arthur Curry and his talents. Lois is really sad about AC's departure because he was absolutely different from the other guys Lois fell in love with until now. She says something to the effect of, there are lots of guys who want to own the world, but I haven't met many who want to save it. Clark consoles her and suggests that she will eventually meet someone even more special.
If it weren't for JLA, that would be the worst one, but you can't top JLA.
At least that one's like romantically fixed and like, okay, I can handle that one more than the JLA one.
It's like the new Mission Impossible. After that car chase, the train sequence just doesn't quite reach it.
Yes.
But
yes.
It's more than just the line, because we do like a big like pan back, pull
the
back.
The camera goes,
Yeah, they're leaning over the railing next to each other, looking off into, the set is even like, get it?
Yeah. Because you see, let's see here. We got some featured music this episode. All the Money or the Simple Life Honey, the Dandy Warhols. We got Waiting for Your Letter by the Carey Brothers, and Every Day is Like the Weekend by Amy Ward. Just looking through the wiki right now for some interesting facts. Arthur Curry is the 24th DC Comics character to be adapted to the series. Arthur is the second superhero to be introduced to the show. You are a liar. He's the third. Superman himself was introduced to the show. Wiki, actually. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Take that.
You done gone got. Jonathan, Martha, and Lionel Luthor don't appear in this episode. This is the highest rated episode for a Thursday night in WB history.
Whoa.
Which makes sense for why they were like something like Aquaman pilot, please.
Yeah.
Which once again, we're going to watch and talk all about on the Patreon between now and the end of this season.
Yes. Between now and the end of the show.
That said, we got good stuff on the Patreon right now, if you want to get there, just in case. We talk about Mission Impossible, other movies and stuff. So there's some good stuff on there. This is the first time Brainiac is introduced as Professor Milton Fine. We know that. I started reading, thinking maybe it would be interesting, and it wasn't. AC calls Clark Superboy after he finds out about his powers. 'Cause that's, get it?
Yeah.
Get it? Because that's a guy. We have here noted that Lois wears 2 bikinis this episode. Thanks, Wiki. Annette O'Toole gives a PSA for the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation at the end of this episode. This is the first time the PSA was given after Christopher Reeves' death. That's interesting. So they knew this one was going to be a hit, right?
Right, that makes sense.
They went on to like include the Christopher Reeve thing at the end of it. Interesting. They were expecting a big marketing push for this one, which
the Flash one must have done well.
You're probably right. That is a very good theory.
Right.
Let's see. Okay. Chloe is surprised to learn that Clark has previously met someone who didn't get his powers from meteor rocks. Apparently, Chloe has forgotten about Ryan James, Chrissy Parker, Mikhail Mitsapitslik, and Margaret Isabel Thoreau.
Yeah. Ooh, good call, Wiki. Good call.
You got him. Let's see here. I'm in trivia now. I just looking for anything we've maybe didn't cover. Nope. No. Oh, here's something fun. Arthur tells Lex, "I don't travel with an entourage." This is a possible reference to the television series Entourage, in which the main character plays Aquaman in a fictional motion picture. Is that a stretch? Is that a stretch?
I think Entourage was after, wasn't it?
I remember you in Vancouver talking about Entourage making a joke about the Aquaman movie.
Oh, shit. Really? Okay.
So
Maybe.
I do think that, yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
We'll give this a hard maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Does the wiki... Oh, did we talk about the Junior Lifeguard Association?
Yeah. Yes, that is. I guess that's everything for Aqua. Big episode for Smallville. What is this Snopes link? Oh, it's for the 10% of the brain thing. The worst line in the whole episode is the line, "Wet and ready, bro."
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Zach, any other final thoughts on Aqua / would you like to set up the 2 episodes we have upcoming?
That's what I was going to say.
Big ones coming up.
I got no thoughts on Aquaman. I will say
I think we got him out.
The next episode is maybe the most maligned episode in the Smallville run. I don't think it's the worst, but it's like a Batman and Robin bad.
This one makes lists as the worst episode.
Yes.
Because it's got some obvious stuff, but this is what Smallville people don't even like.
Right. I think it's bad. The more serious you take the show, the worse you'll hate the episode. But it's bad in a way that is at least fun to watch. Whereas there are some other stinkers where it's like, let me out of here.
Right.
And also, this has an appearance by Princess Leia herself.
Wow.
Carrie Fisher.
Lots to look forward to.
And then the week after that is the episode where Lois has to go undercover as a stripper. And that is a big moment.
That's going to be handled great.
Yes, there will be no problems whatsoever.
Nope, no yikes.
Everything will have aged perfectly.
Yep. I do not anticipate a new contender for yikes.
No. And definitely
it's going to go great.
The bikini and thong she's wearing when she does her striptease will not be the American flag. Certainly.
No, of course not. That'd be ridiculous. I think that's going to wrap it up for us here on the Talent Mix this week. Once again, I already talked about it. We do have a Patreon. Thank you so much if you are inclined to subscribe to it. We do have some bonus content there and more coming soonish. Let's see. If you don't want to give us $5, we completely understand. But if you still want to help out the show, go into your app, just pulling out your phone right now and giving us a nice star rating, maybe a review. That does help us actually get higher up on charts, which means when people search Smallville, our show's more likely to come up. We do have some competition out there. We appreciate it. I guess that's everything. Zach, do you have a question for the Smallville gods?
I sure do, and this is really unanswerable. I don't know if they're going to be able to answer this, but do you think in the world of Smallville gods, will Clark and Aquaman one day join a JLA together?
Good night, everybody.